The world is mine, well, let's get back. You talked all that smack, so you got clapped. Your Ayatollah's gone, I'm the motherfucking Dawn. Big fish in a small pond. Now these pups squat up on my hook as I cook, cause I took the straight, now they shook. Dummies hold they breath, they wanna diss me, make them crispy. Fry 'em up like Kappas from the Mississippi. Leader unseen, just a lip dick dancing queen. We see you women, fuck it up, no one cover it up. Bow down before your bridges all fall. The 7 special forces running up on your fucking peas. We on the seas, getting the Chinese on their knees, begging Trump please. Before any motherfuckers act hard, will you rewind my part, fool? And bow down. When I come to your town, bow down. When I'm Persian bound, bow down. Oh, I drop a phrase or two. Bow down to the dog who's a greater than you.
All right, guys, that's my one promise to you. I promise to always be politically correct and to never show anything that's offensive or that leans in one particular direction, okay? I promise. Good morning, everybody. Chris, what's up, buddy? Central, Kirby, of course, Kenny Brown, History Guy Scalps, Chris, I already said Chris, Kenny Brown. Oh, I already said you too. Good morning. Good morning. Today is chart day. We will obviously be focused mostly on charts today. We'll probably throw out a little bit of news too. Lots of good stuff happening. The market this morning was down. It's actually bouncing back a little bit. If you look in the bottom right corner, you'll see that our first chart, I talked about how we could try and do a back test over here and hit this green line that was a 6-month resistance line. I think that could still happen. In regard to the overall picture, though, let's look at that real quick because I'll just show you an image. So we do have bearish divergence on the weekly time frame for the S&P 500. This is just one index. We'll look at others. But I do believe that, again, this is going back to the beginning of 2024. So you got 1-2 years solid in this range. And we have hit a resistance line that also goes back to late 2024. If we look at this trend line right here, and then on the weekly, we ignore the little spikes above it because they never closed above it. We'll just ignore that. Well, this one did, technically. But again, we'll ignore it because it's not really part of the trend. So it does look like we're close to the top short term. This is a soft top. We could still blow through it and then come back later on. I prefer to get shit out of the way right away. I would rather see a back test in Bitcoin, a back test in the S&P this week or this weekend. And then that way we can just keep going higher. It's always nice to have quicker back tests and then go back up again. It just lets you know that the engine's cooking. But yeah, so I think there's potential that we could drop back to 7,000 and we're at like 71. What are we at now? 71.3789. I haven't looked at pre-market. It might be a little bit better or worse. I'm sorry, but not look too bad. Now, again, this doesn't have to happen. Whenever people show you charts, these are based on probabilities. I think this one is probably like leaning towards probably going to happen, but that could be 66%. So, I mean, those aren't like ingrained odds that it has to happen. That's one of the things I wanted to get across. But we do have bearish divergence, a couple years old. We've got this top up here on the S&P. Could backtest. If we get to 7,000, don't let the bears spook you, though. That's the main reason I'm doing this right now. I believe that we have this delay and potential action until this weekend. If we don't see that, then if we don't see that get extended, which is very possible, I don't know where things sit right now. I'm probably leaning on 60%, somewhere around the same thing, 2-to-1 ratio of we have further action and there's some kind of escalation and maybe the markets get slightly spooked for a very short period of time. But it doesn't have to happen. It could go the other way too. We could get some kind of resolution. There is infighting in Iran right now, guys. And that infighting is basically the president, the prime minister, like all the people that speak externally that went to the negotiations in Pakistan and Islamabad, they all got arrested. They're under house arrest. And then the Iranians who said that these women didn't exist, these young girls, in some cases as young as 16, they said they didn't exist. And then they said that they released 4 of them. And then they said that 4 of them are going to do prison time for like a month or something. But then before that, again, they said they didn't exist at all. These weren't real people. They were AI generated. So lots of weirdness going on within their government. that I think will get settled soon. We are winning that war. I've heard something about it could take 6 months to clear all the mines in the Strait of Hormuz. That's probably true, but we can see ships going in and out of there, both to the north and the south, through safe passages. And so temporary corridors are not an issue, so ignore that stupid shit. It's really just a matter of how we're squeezing them so hard right now in Iran. For people who don't know this, and maybe you've already seen a lot of posts about it, there's so many different opinions on Iran and Strait of Hormuz. People are getting bored with it though. But real quickly, so one of the biggest things is we are ultimately winning this war. I'm trying to remember what my talking point was. God, I totally lost it. Maybe I'll come back to it. But yeah, we're winning this war. There's massive infighting within them. Oh, and I got my talking point. So roughly, oh my God, did I lose it again? I need more coffee this morning. The strategy mug is not doing it for me, guys. It's just not doing it for me. What was I going to say? I'll go back to it. Let me know if you guys have any questions here. Putting you on the big screen. Awesome. Kirby, Jesse, what do you think about Tom Lee's prediction of 15 to 20% drop before the midterms? He could be right. I don't know when the order happens. Maybe we have a drop before, like sooner, and it's shallower, and then we go up. The timing is hard, man. Look at Tom Lee. Tom Lee was like me. He was bullish about crypto in October, and I don't think he ever let go of that. What did he have for price targets for ETH? Like he said Bitcoin and ETH were basically going to the moon the first part of this year. It did not work out that way, right? And I'm not shitting on him. I love Tom, but it's just the way things work. You don't always have a clear picture of every variable that's going on in the world, especially when the macro is playing a big role. If you don't understand the macro, you're going to be wrong. And I didn't understand with crypto that there were massive liquidity issues behind the scenes in the shit coins, and that they were just going to start rolling over on all these exchanges. There were cryptos down 30 to 40% in a fucking day. That was the same day that I almost sold out of $1.5 million of my options with CleanSpark and who was the other one? I don't think it was Iren. Maybe it was Cipher. But I almost closed out of those. Oh, it was Mara. I almost closed out of those, and I didn't. I closed out of a good chunk earlier, like $500,000, but I left the rest, and I wish to God I would have taken it out, right? But you can never control the macro fully. You can never understand it fully. You don't always know what's going on behind the scenes. Sometimes there's really quick issues. But here's the deal. You do need to understand the things that you're invested in and have confidence in them, to where when things like this happen, it was like, oh shit, I missed some timing here. That's going to suck. Let's keep an eye on where the bottom is. Have the fundamentals changed? Nope. If anything, they look stronger than they did before. So do I want to focus on finding an exit? Is that what I should be doing? No, I shouldn't be doing that. If the fundamentals change, then yes, I should be doing that. If it just looked clear as fuck that we were toast, get out. But we dropped what, 40-something% on Bitcoin, and now we're back up. And again, there's plenty of people that have exited, really old school people that have exited Bitcoin, and it looks like it's getting ready to break out right now. And it's doing really well at that. It's actually, I haven't drawn this, but let's just draw it real quick since it's chart day. Well, technically, we're not broken out. We're still at the upper end of it. So, and I should be fair. I want to be fair. I don't want to be calling things that aren't real. So let me go to the tippity top. I will pull down though to daily candles. So we need to go higher. So let me turn that to red super fast. If I could find it. Where is it on the screen? You can't even see that anyway. It's bottom right hand corner that I'm working on, guys. I probably should have pointed to it. Sorry, I really need more caffeine this morning. Let me save this super fast. So we still technically have to break out, but this V bounce that we had is sick, and we will be going back up. And I think if anything, what we're going to see right here, we're just going to see this grind. Like I said, backtest over here, grind around in this range, and then attempt to go higher, and that's when we will. We could even fake out, though. I don't know what's going to happen with macro. If macro gets weird, we grind this line. Okay, bottom right corner. We grind this line down. That's the way it works. And I can tell you, we are so far away from the 59 and change, upper, just under 60K range that that we saw before, and we're just not going back to that. If anything, it's a slow grind, and then it's a curl up. That's how these things work when we find bottoms a lot of the time. Maybe after, in a little bit here, I'll go ahead and I'll show that to you too. But yeah, so keep an eye on this, on the S&P. Be ready for some downside price action. Be ready to buy the dip. And hopefully you took a little bit of profits. I didn't really take anything, but I've got more flexibility. I've got 100% margin sitting in front of me right now. Well, I can't say that. I took a little bit, but I've got the accounts in such a good shape that I can do some dip buying without any worries whatsoever. Climb the Ladder guy was a shocker. He quit Bitcoin altogether. Did he really? I stopped following him. I stopped following him because he did so good on MicroStrategy. Then I think he jumped into some other Bitcoin treasuries. I can't remember, but he got very disillusioned. And I knew that. I didn't know he quit Bitcoin altogether. That's fucked up. I can't believe somebody could do that well. I mean, I understand he probably lost like 50% or more. And I don't know how much he was trading. Maybe he really fucked himself. But that's sad. That is really sad. What's up, family? Losing crypto? I hope we're doing well too. Now, I'm not going to go into... I keep wanting to go back to my normal formula, which is pulling up bookmarks and talking about economic stuff. You guys let me know in the chat. I think I should focus on charts. So let's do that. But if you have a different opinion, let me know that too. I'm having fun again. And it wasn't fun for a while. It was really not fun getting shit on by like the entire crypto world for a period of like 6 months when everything just got butchered. And that happened to me a couple times last year. So there's a couple times where I got to 6 million and then I got knocked down again. Just from stupid decisions, or I would argue in October. I mean, I don't know. There were some signs that it was going to drop. You could have loosened the load. I probably should have. But I'm a patient man, and I'm willing to wait a long time. And I think even this year, I think next year is going to be amazing, at least for Bitcoin. I don't know about every part of the market, but I do think scarce things like AI, infrastructure, chips, there's just staples like in Bitcoin that are just really scarce and very much in demand. And I see them doing really well when maybe other parts of the market don't, like certain software companies that could be replaced by AI, because I think that's a real thing. Anyway, I'm ranting a lot today. Not always on topic. It's going to be fun. My poor wife has to edit this stuff and make YouTube shorts and other videos. So we'll see how well she can do today. But the Bitcoin to gold ratio, I want to talk about this real quick because we got a beautiful looking cup and handle. The handle's a little deep. I usually don't like the handle to be that deep, but the pattern looks pretty good for now. And what it tells us is we're probably taking a trip up here towards the 200 moving average on the daily time frame. And I'll maybe even switch just to weekly. Sometimes it's easier to see that way. I call this bottom perfectly. I just want to point that out. The bottom on the Bitcoin to gold ratio was perfect. I told you this green part was the range. We barely dipped into it. I wanted to give you the full depth of how low this thing can go. Because again, if you're looking at it on the weekly time frame, you don't even have like outside of this huge move right here, these are all just wicks. You got some body over here. So again, it could have went down even further. And that's where volume started to pick up over here. But look at this. Like, we called this bottom. We said, hey, over here, it was nothing but support until it wasn't. Then it found support again after breaking through and back tested. It couldn't hold it when it went back down to test it again. And then it hit it up over here and it found resistance. And then it hit it here and it blew straight through it. But then that was the bottom. This whole time frame from October 2022 to January 2023, that's over 3 months. And then it was the bottom over here. And the longer you test that over multiple periods of time and it respects that, the stronger it's going to be for a resistance or a support line. So this was an easy thing to call. And we tried to tell people that were in gold and in silver to get the fuck out, but they didn't. And some of that, it was just warnings in like late December that things are getting a little sketchy because we were just going straight up. Actually, I guess it was early January, just going straight up. Like we broke out, like this was a rising wedge right about here. It should have stopped around the 4,600 range, but it just kept going. And so everything after this is just pure parabola. And I mean, we went down, this is gold, so it's not nearly as bad, but we went down over here to like the 26% range, which is a lot for gold. It's a huge asset class. It's 37 trillion, maybe 36 now. But I just wanted to show how metals are breaking down. You can see this dropping under the 100 moving average. I think there's a pretty good likely that we get down to at least 4,300, or maybe into the 4,200 range. Now, could it stop right over here? Very possible, but it's at least going to this fib. And I think gold is going to do better than silver. Silver, I'm just going to show that real quick, and then we'll show the ETH BTC ratio. We'll show a bunch of the main metrics that are out there. Silver, I talked about too just recently. It's not looking great. It's probably taking a dive down here to the 50 moving average. You can look at this in multiple time frames, but I tried to warn people in late December when this thing had an RSI of 91, 92. I said, hey, this is probably going to be the peak in the RSI on the weekly time frame. It could bounce back up again. You could even hit a higher high, but this is when the oscillator is ready to just destroy you. So we tried to tell people to get out of silver. They didn't. There's probably a really good chance that we're going down. Let me just do this real quick here. We're going to test this line over here. Oh, let me see if I can move this. 1 second. I'm going to have to change the screen because I can't quite get to it. All right. I'll do 4. So you guys get to see how if you guys have questions about the charts that I'm talking about, let me know. Throw them out there. Again, I'm trying to make this where it's interactive and I'm showing you guys how I look at this stuff. So your feedback is much appreciated. If you have questions, throw them. Otherwise, though, I think, right around here, right? I think right around where the 50 moving average is. I always make this, the 50 is going to be purple, the 100 is going to be yellow, and this one's going to be like an orangish brown for the 200. I've done that forever. I did that back when I was talking on Facebook groups and nobody would listen to me. And now I get to do it on an even larger space and not have people listen to me. So let's see here real quick. I want to draw this because this is kind of what we're looking like. And so I'm not saying silver is dead by any means, but it very well could be taking a break. I don't think that's crazy. And so I think it's probably winding up one more time, going down here, and then it'll probably take off. But I'm always looking for, when I look at these charts, I'm trying to look for the trend lines. So what is the actual formation on the chart? Ah, damn it. This one's over here too. I can't quite. Let me see if I can drag it. Ah, there we go. Cool. Can kind of figure out where it is. Okay, so again, this could be like a falling tightening wedge, and that would be a bullish pattern. And if it goes back down here and tests again, it's likely to try and go up. And then if it can break above this, you're getting this rounding bottom pattern, right? We like the round bottoms. And so that's a thing to keep an eye on too. Let's look at oil. There's no patterns in oil, just chaos. But I will zoom out though, so you get a better view. The chance that we fill this gap in the next year is probably pretty high. That's the $67 a barrel gap. That's going to be pretty high. If we zoom out with oil, let me see here. We've been right on oil for a long time. So over here, and I'm willing to bet if we draw this line. So over here, this is where we told people when it got up here, I was like, you're stupid. You need to get out of oil. And then it crashed. And then we went back up. Or is that the right range? No, I'm sorry. Over here, it's kind of a repeating pattern. Things rhyme. Over here in 2022, when everybody said that oil was going to go to $200 a barrel, Russia-Ukraine war, we knew that was a fade. And it's been that way ever since. And we had a consolidating pattern. Let me just show this to you. We had a consolidating pattern. If anything, and you might even have to go to the monthly to get the line to draw cleaner. You probably do. I'll just draw it this way for now, though. So if you drew the line cleaner because you're looking at a longer time frame like the monthly, then you get this, right? And so that resistance line, and once we broke it, and that's the way it works, right? The longer you consolidate in a range, the more violent the breakout is going to be most of the time. These are not universally true rules. Like, it's not always right, but it's usually right. I'm just going to draw support here while we talk. Sorry, I do have to look at the comments now that I've said something about it. But there isn't much of a pattern here. It's kind of chaos. This is the weekly time frame. Normally, a weekly chart does not look like this. You can look at any other number of weekly charts, and they don't look this chaotic. You can see the blow-off top over here. And let me see. I should have volumes showing. Why is no volume? Okay. Maybe it just doesn't. Oh, you know what? It's this particular contract. It doesn't track it. But there's no pattern yet, but I think we're just kind of range bound. We're consolidating before we make our next decision. History guy, I think oil service like SLB and WMB will just be solid. Also, PBR, not huge gainers, but solid. Yeah, they probably won't be huge gainers. And I don't know. I think oil could stay elevated with the stuff that's happening in the Strait. If I'm just thinking out loud about this, oil should be higher going forward. But again, that's a direct benefit to the United States. We've increased production 23% year over year. So oil being higher is not necessarily bad for us, not like people think. So I don't know. I think they're wrong, and I think they're going to find out the truth soon. Let's look real quickly at ETH BTC ratio. This one has not been as strong, still consolidating. Let me see if the weekly is a better view on this one. Yeah, it's pretty good. Actually, this needs to be just a hair higher. Just a hair. And maybe down just a little bit over here. Yeah. So, but this is this looks we're in a good consolidation. I don't think we get much further. I mean, maybe technically we could get down to here, but I doubt it. I think it's going to keep kind of trending up and then break out here soon. It's kind of doing a fake out to the downside. So if you look at this as a support zone, and then again, we'll go on. If there's any other charts that supersede what I'm doing that you guys would really like to know more about, especially if they're macro for this first part, throw them out. All right, whoops. Let me save this real quick. So again, we're starting to see a breakdown here that I just wanted to point out super fast, but I think it's just going to be a fake out. So if you look here, we were riding this and now we're breaking down. So could we even test over here? Sure. But then I think that's our last one. If that happens, that's our last one, and then it's time to go. And this cycle since, is that the halving? I don't know, 749 days ago? Maybe it is. I think it might be. I don't remember. It's been so long since I made some of these. And you stare at so many charts all the time. I did want to show the other indices real quick. And then I'm going to look at both Bitcoin and Ethereum. Well, Bitcoin we kind of already looked at, but we'll pull up Ethereum too. The NASDAQ looking great. So the S&P has done pretty good. The NASDAQ's done even better. It's in breakout territory, hitting all-time highs. I show, I believe, 30,300 on the NASDAQ this year is what I'm thinking. So I'm pretty bullish on what this is capable of. And there's going to be a ton of hardware in that and some software too. That's going to be another key driver for the S&P. And that's something that Tom Lee agrees with. He's back to, he was in energy for a while, but now he's back to the Mag 7, Bitcoin, Ethereum plays. And I agree with that. I do think that that's where we're at. Let me see. What was I looking at? I was looking at something. Did I move a chart and lose it? Let me check. NASDAQ. Okay, yeah, we looked at that. And then let's go to the RUT real quick, the Russell 2000. So this has been a beautiful play. We called this one too. So this was a cup. This is a handle, even albeit an ugly looking handle. There's other patterns actually that this could be too, but it doesn't matter. They're all the same thing. It doesn't really matter what they're called. You can see here how this was obviously a resistance line until it broke out, back tested it a ton, wicked up here, and now it's just shooting off. Technically, the .618 would be the zone where you'd be stopping, but the measured move for this pattern is actually higher because this consolidated for so long. These are years, guys. This goes back to 2021, end of 2020. So it finally had its breakout. So I think it's got 22.49% upside this year on that one. All right, so we got Bitcoin. Let's go to Ethereum. We'll check Ethereum and Solana real fast too. Let me know if the flow is okay. Gold to copper. I haven't set up that chart. I'll have to do that. I'll get that set up for next time. So I wanted to talk about Ethereum real quick. One thing that I think for sure we're getting to 10,000 this year. That's just my thought process on it. We hit support. I mean, this was support at the tariff tantrum. This was support after the Silicon Valley Bank disasters and the markets fell apart, and Tesla and Palantir and a bunch of other things are down 75% or more. This was support back over here in November of 2018. There's been a lot of support, right? There's been a lot of support in this range, and even going back here to 2016. So basically, the area that we're in is the 99% chance of going up, right? We can just look at this. Look how little time we've spent down here since 2017. It's just very clear. And again, the support resistance lines, especially on the monthly, I think are cleaner. Yeah, so no, it's probably the weekly or the daily. But this was a clear bounce on multiple levels. This is just one oscillation metric, but multiple levels, it was a very clear bounce. And I think there's a minimum of 329% that we're going to go up either by the end of this year or the very beginning of next. It just shouldn't take that long. And I think that the economy is going to fire up in the second half of this year greatly. If I'm wrong about that, run. But I think I'm going to be very right about it. All right, let's look real quick. What else did you guys want to look at for charts? I think we've went over, Solana. I should probably pull that up real quick too. And then we'll start looking at stocks. You guys throw out the charts. I think somebody threw up some already. I'll look at those in a second. So Solana, again, same kind of thing. We grinded down. This was actually such a long grind at the oversold territory on the weekly time frame. This is about as big of a consolidation as you can get. Resistance, sport. Didn't even want to go back down after months. And said, fuck you, I'm going higher. I think that's great. And again, maybe I should do this. I should add another one in here. Give me one sec. Let me know if you have any questions about this one. But I think Solana is going to do really good this year too. I think it's pretty inevitable. All of these are going to do well. And there's actually another one here. So again, this is just all the percentages are just showing you literally like every zone where we're going to take a break. Technically, there's another one right over here too. For now, I might be modest. And we'll just say this. So we'll keep this really simple. I'll clean this up later. And we'll say there's like Solana has 430% upside this year. All right, let me see here. Tesla chart. We can look at that. BM&R is finally looking good. I'm excited about that one. Let's see. Tesla. All right. So Tesla doing a back test. I think it could go lower maybe. I mean, they let us know that they're doing tons of CapEx. They let us know they can't give us a lot of information on time frames. I mean, obviously, there's so much good in the conference call. Elon Musk is amazing. If you have a time horizon of several years, or even just to the end of this year, and you can wait for like the Roadster reveal will probably get a lot of people excited. I think that's going to happen in a month or so. There's so much going on with this company, and once they get their first Optimus, they said it should be useful outside of the factory by the end of this year. That seems like a pretty good thing, and I got to say next year we'll probably see that for sure. So again, this range, the visible range volume profile over here, guys, this is a very clear trough, right? So we can just chop in this range for a while. Here, you know what I'll do? This will be fun. We can like learn about charts together. And hopefully I know more than you do. But we can learn about charts together, but we'll just do this. And we'll probably draw it like right here. Is that there is support in previous volumes. And this is one of the primary things that I look at when I'm looking for a support zone. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff you can look at too. Oh, let me clean this up. There's a lot of other stuff you can look at too. But I mean, it's mostly this. I want to see volume support. So I'm going to draw this down just a little bit. So this is kind of what I'd see. It doesn't even have to go this far. It could be just a little bit higher. But this is what I see, like maybe a little more downside, not much. Once in this green zone, we're bouncing. But again, you just have to look at Tesla as it's a $1.45 trillion company, which is a huge number. It's a huge number. Guys, I'm sorry. And I just got to say this. I'm sorry if you didn't catch all of this. I didn't. I could have made so much money on this. One of the biggest issues I've had has not been selling too late. It's actually been I sold too much too quickly. That's my primary problem. I had options with Tesla that were leaps, and I was getting better and better at them, but I bought down here. This thing went up 30. Well, shit, it went up more than that now. It went up how high? 4,000%. Now, it took a while to get all the way up to that, right? But it took 2 years, basically 2 years, to go up 3,300%. I'm sorry if you missed that last trip. That was a big one, okay? This one over here wasn't very big. The one over here was pretty big. It was 1,800. But this was fucking huge. There was a 1,400 PE ratio on Tesla for a long period of time. I don't even know what it is right now. Let's look. I think that's a good thing to check real quick because it's been a while. We need to talk about these things. I want you guys to learn how I think. I think that's going to be the most valuable thing that you'll get from this. Are what tools does Jesse use, and how does he think, and is there anything I should modify, right? And we can figure it out together. But yeah, so for PE ratio, right now we're 354 with a forward of 169. This is dirt cheap for Tesla. But it's been a painful 4 years, I think, for a lot of people, right? I mean, this is a lot of days, guys. November 2021 was a long time ago. So I'm going to argue that I get why people are frustrated. But it is coming. We are going up. We will break out. It's coming over this next year, probably. So it might not happen right away. But maybe if you make a bunch of money in other things, like miners, like Cipher and Iren and CleanSpark, or, I mean, any number of investments right now. I think ARKG could pop for the options. I think Zeta could go higher. I think Enphase, again, got a revision higher. I think BM&R is going to break out. I think Strive is going to the moon in MicroStrategy now. I think people don't understand what those vehicles are and how much money they're bringing in. I think we got a lot of good stuff in front of us. But yeah, this is how I think of the Tesla chart. What else do we have? Let me go up here. Any other charts you want to see, guys? I'll just start picking some. Let's look at the Cipher and all these. These are great. The shitty part is I sold most of my stuff for tax loss harvesting, even though I'm glad I did it because it was $200,000 that'll wipe out my tax bill for next year. And I put it in other stuff that's going to do really well and is doing well. But still, this thing has went up so much already. This is Cipher. It has cleanly had a breakout. And so on some of the weakest levels, we're going to get up another 11%, right? Like that's just what happens. The first fib level is like the weakest level. This chart still looks amazing. I can actually re-enter in about a week. So we'll see where it's at. If we get some kind of retrace, I might re-enter some of them. But I think 64% could come really quickly. And I'm talking like months. Maybe a couple of quarters, worst case. We're doing 64 to 125. I think by the end of the year, this thing's went up 204%. I can't say much beyond that. That is a really good run, but it's possible it goes higher because if you look over here, this is crazy. So, and you don't always get the measured move. So I like to reduce the size of a measured move. And why do I do that? Because there's economies of scale, and this thing gets a lot bigger. The market cap is much larger later on. And so like from here, what the market cap was down here to up here is astronomically different. And so if we take that and then we duplicate that, and again, this is less likely. If these are over shorter time frames, they're more likely to happen and get that full measured move. So when you look at something like this, it being over a longer time frame, just think that it doesn't have to get there. Yeah, this is too crazy. I mean, what you're most likely to get, like on the high end, is here. You're going to have diminishing returns because of size, because you require a lot more volume to move the same space. So it's always going to be less, or at least it should be, unless the dynamics of the supply and demand are so out of whack. But this is probably like best case, and I hate to even draw the other line, but I'll do it. Just know that the last line, maybe I should make that a 1 or something, or can I make it spotted or something weird? I don't know. I'll have to see. The last line is like, it could happen, but it doesn't have to. All right, let's see here. BTBT. I never look at that chart. I could try. Real quickly though, CleanSpark. So Iren looks amazing. It's in a breakout. These are the zones, right? And all this stuff can be found on the Discord. I do have to clean things up, though. It's a little disorganized. I do post all my trades on there, too. So if you want to see those, you can. This is looking better. So we're above. This is such a messy map. We're above peak volumes right now and trying to hold that spot. Bounced really good off the 200 moving average on the weekly time frame. That is a great zone to bounce off of. I don't know what I have drawn here. Oh, just trying to see. I don't even know. Some of these things are off. Let's see here. I probably haven't touched this thing in so long, and it was redrawn on a smaller time frame. So this was a pretty easy move. And again, look at the really big time frames. That's the most important thing you can do. Look at the really big time frames. They're what tell you the story, right? So this thing does have a bullish divergence, even though it's chopping. It's been wanting to be bullish since 2019. So it is pretty recessed. If these guys start to get actual deals and can get some stuff spun up quickly, then they could do a lot better. But I've been burned on this one so many times. I think it's pretty easy for it to go up 50% in a short period of time. It's already kind of done that. I think that it could go up. Oh, you know what? And I should adjust these real quick while I'm here. I think it could go up another 95 pretty easily over the next couple of months to quarters. And I think it could get to 168%. And if it gets an overshoot, it's up to this next range, $50. And that's like the overshoot range. So that's like, hey, wow, it did a great job. And again, measured move wise, if we kind of follow that same concept, right? So that's that one. And we'll just replicate it over here. But we'll try and shorten it just to, again, we want to underestimate because it's got to be larger to make this move happen. And that's probably a pretty safe bet. I'm kind of drawing the line right over here. Yeah, we'll leave it here. That's probably a pretty safe bet for getting in between. Here is a good zone for selling. All right, real quickly, what do we have? Iren here. I'll throw that up, and then we'll check BTBT, and then we'll be done with those. If you guys have any other questions, throw them out. Oklo, SMR. Yeah, some of these are newer. I'll have to pull them up. Dividends for SATA. I've got a video for that. It's very similar to STRC. They pay dividends. They're going to start doing it every 2 weeks, it sounds like. Matt Cole, the CEO, said that. He said that they're on it after doing a poll on X. But Iren looks great. Again, you got this long trend line, and now it was resistance for a long time. Now we're sitting above it for the second week in a row. So an easy 21.77, 147, ultimately 240. I think it's very possible. Very cool stuff. Let's see what else we have here. Sorry, I'm trying to get through everything. Somebody said BM&U, so I'm going to look at BM&R real quick just to show you that. And then I'll probably do strategy and ASST, and we can talk about some of those other things too, like the dividend things. I'll show you those portions. BM&R. So BM&R is beautiful. Under the 100 and the 200 moving average, tons of volume, peak volumes underneath of it. Absolutely miserable experience from 162 down to 20, or whatever we got down to, 17. So that was really, really low. Just 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second, okay? Hey guys, I hate to do this, but I'm going to have to leave. I'll try and come back and do a second part of the stream, but I've got to step away for a minute, okay? All right, sorry guys, bye. Have a good day.